What's up, chess player? Chess is an incredibly competitive. As every sport, it's very tough to fight. One day you can be on the top, like I was, winning the German chess championship under 25 years just a few months ago. If you haven't seen that series, definitely take a look. It's gonna be a breakthrough in terms of your chess level. You can learn so much out of it. But the very next tournament I have played in Czech Republic, Pardubice Open, a very famous chess festival, and I completely failed. Like, everything that could go wrong, everything went totally wrong. It was a real nightmare for me. So in this series of videos, I want to share with you the games I have played there, so you can take the most out of it and don't repeat my mistakes in your own games. It's gonna definitely be incredibly embarrassing for me to share all of those blunders and mistakes with you, but I don't have any secrets. I want to help you to improve your chess, so let's get started. In the first round, I had white pieces against the 21-26 100 rated player, Kuipers Dustin, and of course I was optimistic. I wanted to play for win because I was chasing the GM norm. That is the ultimate goal, of course, of the entire channel, as it's called, Journey to Grandmaster. So let's see what happened. That was a Slav Defense with a c6 move here, and I have to say that is a very solid opening for black. So if you are looking for something solid, if it's your type of thing, definitely take a look at it. So knight c3, personally I don't like. I wouldn't be a big fan of playing something like that as black, because it's somewhat passive. Like, you are very solid, but you need to suffer all of those difficulties, hoping one day to get some initiative, some counterplay, and then you're gonna shine. So here I played this move c5, trying to get as much space as possible out of my opponent. I mean, he played a6, he was obviously preparing to take at some point, to play b5, to get some space on the queen side. So I'm playing c5, I want not to allow my opponent an easy game. Yeah, g6, one of the, of course, reasonable and normal plans in this variation, g6, bishop g7, and I'm just continuing my development. I have a beautiful pawn chain here. As you can notice, it's like all of the pawns are supporting each other. The only thing I should be careful about is this move e5, and that is exactly what my opponent is planning, because if he's able to play e5, if he's able to exchange, let's say, the d4 pawn, then immediately this e-file is going to be opened. Then this bishop on g7 is suddenly a monster, because it's gonna constantly put pressure on the d4 pawn. So that is what my opponent wanted to play. He played knight e8 for that reason. He played, by the way, very quickly, because, well, that is his variation. He knows his stuff, and I wasn't that prepared because, well, let's face the truth, it's not one of the most famous variations, not one of the most popular ones. So I just played b4. I wanted to make sure that it's as solid as it possibly can get, and maybe castles was a little bit better. I did it afterwards. And now rook e8. Well, e5 is already on black's agenda, but for now I still have enough defenders, at least I thought so. So I played the move knight to a4. I wanted to create some counterplay. So once my opponent is attacking in the center, and by the way, he did it immediately, well, he wants to open up this diagonal. I mean, look at that bishop. That would be something. But I had a plan how to counter it. So let's see what I did. I took it on e5 because I didn't want to end up having a weakness. Well, first of all, I have the square d4 for my knight, which is protected by the pawn, so I thought that might be a good strategy. And secondly, I had some tactical shots in mind. First of all, once the knight is leaving the d6 square, now this b6 square is vulnerable, and, well, that was the idea behind the move knight to a4, so I immediately go there with the tempo attacking the knight. Rook to b8, now just escaping the attack, and e4, sacrificing pretty much everything in this position. I just wanted to blow it up. I mean, of course, knight d4 was a completely normal move, and white is a little bit better according to the engine, but I wasn't really sure how am I supposed to play it for a win. And remember, of course, I want to win the game. I have much more rating than my opponent, and of course, it's essential for me to start the tournament with a victory. I played a4, and tactical complications here are just crazy, so let's see what happened. My opponent just took it on f3, which makes lots of sense. I mean, he opens up this very diagonal where his bishop is just controlling everything. Bishop takes f3, and now bishop takes a1, and I'm just taking it back. I mean, now I am in full charge of this diagonal, and that might be very, very scary for you. I mean, checkmate is coming, and also the d-file. I mean, I'm still putting some pressure on the d5 pawn. That is why I played the very move e4, but, well, the problem is my opponent's just taking it, saying that I have grabbed your change, now I'm taking your pawn. I mean, the pawn is protected, you can no longer take it back. Well, I'm just a bunch of material up. Try to prove your compensation. So that is what I tried to do. I played the move rook to d1, now activating yet another piece. Remember what I'm always telling you about the development. That is the most important thing in chess. And now all of my pieces are developed. Yes, I have less pieces in general than my opponent, but look at this rook on b8, for example. It's not participating in the game. And so far, I am having some lead in terms of active pieces on the board, and at the moment, that is exactly what matters here. So, knight to d5 has been played. I have to tell you the truth, I have underestimated this move somewhat because, well, now I can just grab the rook, but my opponent doesn't care because my bishop is also hanging. And for him, of course, that would be great to exchange as many pieces as possible. Remember, he's also having an extra pawn and he wants to get some counterplay. So I took on e4 first. I guess that is the best and the only chance for me, because if I take on b8 immediately, then he's taking on f3, queen is coming to g5, this pawn is very, very annoying. I mean, this position has a huge advantage for black here. So I took on e4 first, rook takes e4, according to chess.com, a brilliant move. Yeah, and of course it's the most logical thing to do here, because yeah, the rook is very active. Why not to eliminate this very central bishop? The rook has no ways to escape either way. So rook takes, now knight takes d5, I guess also an important move. I wanted to take it first, not to allow him to save this pawn on d5. So if I thought if I take on b8, then he can play bishop to e6. And now if I take, he's never gonna take with the pawn. He's gonna take with the bishop, and the bishop would be a perfect piece here. So that was my point, to take the knight first. He doesn't really have any choice. Although c takes d, once again, a brilliant move here, second in a row. For me, it felt logical because, yeah, what else can you do? This knight is coming to f6. I was also thinking about the move rook takes f4 here, by the way, because now the material is completely equal, and I have the knight against the bishop, and still my pieces are more active, so I thought, well, here I have pretty good chances. That is true according to the engine. White is in the driver's seat. So my opponent made a brilliant move. I took on b8, and now we have opposite color bishops, and my opponent has still an extra... No, wait. The material is equal, yeah, because I took the pawn there back, and yeah, now it's a question. What do you do here as black? To be honest, I was pretty scared at this point in the game, because it felt like my opponent is starting to get some momentum here, starting to activate all of his pieces. Some bishop takes h3, moves are possible, queen g5. I mean, that looks very scary. But my opponent struggled here to find the best move. I mean, he was calculating this bishop takes h3 stuff. It's not that simple, because after queen takes, I take here on d5, and I mean, those pieces are really annoying for black. Queen is coming to f6, rook is coming to d8. Well, good luck finding the right path here. According to the agents, that is just a little bit better for white, but from a practical point of view, I agree with my opponent that it's a very, very annoying position to find yourself in. So what he did instead is f6, the move I don't like at all, because it's a very passive move, and now you're creating another weakness in your camp, so very unnecessary. But he wanted to block this diagonal. From this perspective, I can understand him. Bishop d6, I just want to make sure that my bishop is rock solid, and now I'm attacking this pawn on d5. What can be more logical than that? Bishop e6 has been played to protect. Queen to b2, I'm just trying to improve my pieces a little bit. So king to f7, now rook to d3, a mistake according to chess.com. I mean, that doesn't really spoil anything, the position is around equal, but if instead I play f3, apparently I have a pretty big advantage. Well, I didn't want to really be in a hurry with those moves, because that, of course, creates some weaknesses in my camp. But the point is, very, very important point, that the rook has no well, almost no moves along the e-file. If you go to e3, then the rook is going to be lost here after bishop f4. But if you leave the e-file, then it's gonna be an essential point in the entire game here, because who controls the open file? I mean, you know that open files are in general very important, but in this position, e-file is the only open file in the entire board. Who controls it gets a huge initiative, and that is why f3 was the best move here. And of course, I wanted to do that, but I thought I'm in no hurry. I can improve my position first. He can't do anything at all, so I can just slowly, just make my pieces as strong as possible and finally crush my opponent. That wasn't really true, because g5, now I played queen d2, now once again controlling all of those squares, preparing the move f3, but suddenly my opponent is playing king to g6. The best moment to play f3, I still didn't do it. I still tried to improve my position, just make sure that the king is safe. But now, bishop f7, and my opponent has a square along the e-file. And so I was very upset about that I missed my moment here. I mean, it's still better, but now I need to find new ways to attack. I felt that this king is very weird on g6, but how to attack it? Still not that simple. And I played f4. I wanted to just get to him somehow. He played h6, just protecting it. Now a4, I also have an extra pawn here, and that was very annoying for my opponent, as he told me after the game. I mean, he constantly has to calculate all of those b5 complications, and especially since the time travel is coming, that is a very, very annoying thing. So, queen to d7, now rook f3, I'm putting my rook along the f-file, trying to just get to my opponent's king somehow. Rook e4 has been played back. Now the rook is very, very good here, actually, very active. I played queen to b2, because now I'm threatening to take on g5 and then get to the f6 square. I didn't want to exchange the g5 pawn first, because in that case, queen to e6 would be an option for my opponent after, let's say, queen b2. But now it's not, because I have the e5 idea forking the king and the queen, which makes it more difficult for my opponent to deal with all of the difficulties. But there is one move which solves all of the problem for black here. Try to pause the video for a second and find it. It's a very critical, crucial moment in the game. I hope you have found the right move. That's the move d4, just completely blocking the entire diagonal. And I mean, this bishop is coming to d5, where it's finally gonna be a strong piece. That was such a nice idea, but I guess a little bit a scary one, because you make this pawn a little bit more vulnerable, you make this rook a little bit more vulnerable, so my opponent didn't do that, at least immediately. Instead, he took on f4, which I consider, and I thought about it during the game, a mistake, because unnecessarily you're opening up your king, you're creating so many weaknesses all over the place. And of course, I tried to use it. First of all, I took the pawn back, and now my opponent played d4, which in this case might be still the best move, but it's a completely different situation now, because there is an f-file opened, there are some targets to attack, and I immediately tried to use it. I played queen to f2, since the diagonal is blocked. I can no longer attack along it, but I can now attack along the f-file, or I can even bring my queen to the h4 square, where it's gonna attack the h6 pawn too. Queen to d5, and now I started to somehow outmaneuver my opponent. I played here bishop d6, which is a miss according to chess.com, because b5, sacrificing the pawn, apparently is winning the game immediately, but that is too complicated, especially since I was just 3 minutes on the clock. And I thought, bishop f6, it has some interesting ideas, it's opening up the f-file, and once again the bishop is very solid. f5, yeah, I thought that is a good thing for me, because now the dark squares are so weak, so I immediately played bishop to f4 back, because now I'm attacking this h6 pawn, and when I bring my queen, h5 is no longer such a good option as before, because g5 is no longer under control. So, king to h7 has been played, queen to h4, I just follow my plan, which is a huge miss according to the engine. It says I'm just plundering the entire advantage away. Let's see what was the right thing. So instead of that, as you might already see, the right move is bishop takes h6. And yeah, that is a practically 2 moves combination. I should have found it, but I mean, that wasn't that intuitive for me. The point is, of course, after takes, I take on f5, with a double attack, and there is no way to save the bishop. And then I'm 2 pawns up, the king is still naked. I mean, that is a huge advantage. And what's very important, because you might be scary once rook takes f7 is played, queen goes to e5 with a check, then the king is in trouble. I mean, king to h1, just rook e1 check, g3, just rook e2. But the main point is there is no square you can go so that you can give a check afterwards. I mean, e6 is not possible because of rook f6 check, and otherwise there is just no way to do that. And that is why the whole combination works. So I played queen to h4 instead, and now after rook to e6, the right move, like, it's just completely fine. That is how crazy chess is. Then you suddenly have a d passer. I mean, everything starts to work out for black. My opponent played queen to e6, which is a horrible blunder again, and now, yeah, I have a huge chance. b5 apparently just wins the game completely with some ideas like c6 takes and b6, and this pawn just promotes. But, well, I still wanted to continue putting some pressure on my opponent, so I played queen to d8. Also, it's a reasonable wish just to control this passer when you're in time trouble, because who knows what's gonna happen. Bishop h5 has been played. Here is a moment where my opponent offered me a draw, which was kind of a weird thing for me. I mean, that is such a complicated position. Why on earth would I agree to a draw? I want to win. I'm not really that scared to lose, because whether I drew or I lose, I pretty much lose all of my chances for the GM norm, so I only needed a victory. I played rook g3, and apparently my opponent missed that move, because now this bishop is untouchable for the simple reason of queen c7 check, and then the rook is going to be lost. So queen to f7 has been played. Now queen to b8. This move is preparing the move bishop to f5 with a horrible threat, queen h8 checkmate. So rook a8 has been played, but now queen d6 with a double attack here, and I felt that, yeah, now I'm getting this game and I'm gonna bring the full point home. I just need to find the final blow somehow. So I played queen d6 once again, then I played queen to d2, rook to e2, and now queen to c3. I mean, I thought it's great to control this diagonal, maybe support my pawns, and everything is protected. That is the main thing. I played b5 here, and my opponent just resigned, because how do you stop those pawns? I mean, a healthy extra pawn for me, no compensation whatsoever, a weaker king for the opponent. All the thing you have, it's more than enough to resign, so the game is over here. Hopefully you enjoyed this game. Write in the comments what you think about it, at which points do you feel what was the critical moment in the game, and what would you play differently. If you have enjoyed this video, you're definitely gonna enjoy this one, where I share with you how I became the German Chess Championship. So far, one of the biggest achievements in my entire chess career, so you're gonna love it.